Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Community Connection. I don't know if it's cold where you are, but it was cold here today in the teens, like 19 with wind chill of 13. But it's kind of warm here in the studio because we have a lot of fun here getting warmed up. Claudia can't be with us today, but we have a special guest host. She's not new to Community Connection, Bambi Durham.
Hello.
Hi.
Thanks for having me. You look lovely today, Mr. Durham.
That's what I usually say to Claudia. So nice for turning that around because we're not sexist here in this organization, right?
That's right.
I can look lovely.
That's
Why
right.
can't I?
Equality for all.
That's right. How are you?
Good. Thanks for inviting me.
You brought some friends with you today.
I did.
Part of the care team. Do you mind introducing them today?
Sure. I brought two of the family advocates from Kinship Navigator. I have Cameron Dean, who's been here with you before,
Yep.
and Ashlyn Geip.
And it's first time for Ashlyn. Mm-hmm. She's super nervous, everybody, so don't stare directly at her. 'Cause she's really, really nervous.
I am. But I'm excited to be here as well.
Yes,
Very
thank
good.
you for having us.
So we had some really cool things happen at Christmas time
Yeah.
that the care team was a part of, right?
Right.
And so we're going to talk about some of those. We're going to start out talking about a very special thing that we did through Care Portal and their partnership with Prison Fellowship,
Yeah.
right? And so Prison Fellowship put in a bunch of requests into Care Portal. People could take those requests, buy a present for a child who has a parent in prison,
Yep.
and then deliver that. And so tell us about kind of what happened, and because you guys were involved, a lot
Yeah.
of the folks in our organization were involved, as well as volunteers and some of our trustee families, and so it was really cool to see so many people get involved in this, but we reached a lot of families, and so tell us a little bit about that experience.
Yeah,
Bambi.
it's nice to be invited as part of the care team to talk about it and represent it because we were just a tiny part of what our fearless leader, Claudia Fletcher, took on. Claudia was assigned 523 of those
Yes,
angels.
523 angels.
That's a lot. And only, I think, a few weeks before Christmas, too. It was definitely
really
into
is.
December.
Yeah.
And out of those 523, she worked with some volunteers and staff to reach out to those families because you have to coordinate
Yeah.
information. Are the children still at that address? Is
What
there
do
a
they
good
want
time?
what do they want for
Right.
Christmas? And-
Right?
yeah.
So with the volunteers, they reached out and reached over almost 70%, I think. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sounds about right.
And that's unheard of. That's even a
Yeah.
high number for how many you can usually reach after years of being with a family member or a guardian in the program. And some of those people were fictive kin too. It wasn't it was like a grandmother
sure,
or a
right.
father figure,
Yeah.
which I think is very cool that they even recognize that for the kids.
Right, doesn't have to be a biological parent to be a part of the program.
Yeah. So Claudia, we ended up doing as an agency and with all of the people on Care Portal or Vision 30 partners that all took it, we ended up doing 399 of those were filled, which is huge. And 100 of those or 99 of those were done by Patrick Henry's staff.
Yes.
So all different departments took on different numbers. Some of the departments had the gifts mailed. Some of the departments actually delivered it, and that's what our department got to do. We, Cameron, Ashlyn, myself, and Raven were given permission to go on a road trip during a work day one day.
Yeah.
That was a Christmas gift to us because we had a blast.
We did.
And we got to hand deliver
So
some of those
where'd
gifts.
you go? Because you went to a different county.
We
right?
went to Augusta County.
Augusta County.
And we went to, I'm not going to tell you the towns because I can't remember them, but I think it was 4 or 5 different towns around Staunton area.
Yeah.
And some of them, it was just like 30 minutes in one direction to go to one house,
Yes.
which was fine because we had a good time and we had a good navigator. And Raven was our navigator for the trip, although Cameron and Ashlyn helped a lot because our cell phone batteries were dying. And we got to hand deliver those gifts. And different people on our team purchased the gifts. Families took them on.
Yeah.
Claudia allowed us to purchase some of them. And then we sat and wrapped them together one day and then got to deliver them. So, yeah.
So ladies, tell me a little bit about your experience. Do you have a particular story without divulging, with protecting confidentiality? What what was impactful for you to be a part of that process?
Yeah, I can go first. I got to shop for 3 of the kiddos that we went and delivered gifts to, and so it was really fun to go and pick out. I had a list of things that they were interested in, but then getting to go to the store and pick out items, and then like Bambi said, we all wrapped them together, which was also really fun to all get to do together. And then I got to give them to the grandmother of the kids that I wrapped for. So it was just like I got to see the whole process of it,
yeah.
which was really cool. And she was so grateful and appreciative for us coming there and giving her those. So it was a really, really cool experience, and getting to see it full circle was really awesome as well.
So it was a team bonding opportunity for you guys, right?
Yeah.
You get to do
Oh
some
my
stuff, and you guys have a lot of fun at the care team.
We
You're
do.
making other
try.
teams a little jealous about all this fun. Either that, or you just do a really good job at posting that on social media.
We only
Right?
post the good stuff.
You only post the good stuff, yes.
We don't post when we run out of coffee or toilet paper. We don't tell everybody that stuff. We do have a good
How
time.
about you, Cameron? What?
Yeah. I thought it was so nice to be able to see like the items that were, written down on the list, and like what I guess they intended for their child or their relative to
Yes.
have. And I just think that's awesome that even though, they're unable to deliver it, that this program gives them the opportunity to still show that they're loved, especially like with the like notes
Yes.
that come with it. I think that's just so sweet. And like Ashlyn said, most of the people we delivered to, we're just so excited to receive those items and be able to bless the child with something from their relative that Christmas. So I thought that was very impactful.
Yeah, it was really nice the way that it was made. There was a sticker that we literally pulled off and put onto the gift, and that sticker had a message directly from the loved one that's in prison. And some of those messages were just very heartwarming. Nicknames for the kids that were being used, or wishes for, I hope this gift brings you. So that was beautiful to get to read and have a glimpse into. It was our privilege to have
Yeah.
that glimpse into their family.
Right.
You're kind of stepping into some kind of sacred space in a sense, right? Because it's an intimate kind of a thing, right? That's and I assume families sometimes might be a little embarrassed, or it's awkward that other strangers are like doing this. How did you guys navigate all of that? Was it just natural?
We, as the delivery team, didn't have to do too much of that. But from what I hear, Claudia and the volunteers that reached out to those families by phone did have some of those conversations. And they were just reminded it was for the kids. It was for the kids to be shown love as their loved one was missing from their life. One of the things that Claudia shared with me that I thought was awesome is one of the families she reached out to, there was a stepchild or another child that was in the home that wasn't being included in this. And Claudia immediately said, well, we want to include them too. So how old are they? What kind of things do they like? So that the gifts were purchased for those children too. And I'm sure she took that account into the numbers, but if she didn't, then that would be a higher
Extra,
number
yeah.
of gifts that we
Yeah.
purchased.
Yeah.
And then there was one that broke our heart that day. We drove into this really nicely laid out trailer park, and there was numbers. It said, specifically what the lot number was. And as we looked around, we couldn't find the lot number. We saw a little girl looking through a window of a house like she was waiting. So we went to that house.
Really?
And they said, no, this isn't the right home. I got kind of excited because that was going to be our first kid that we saw getting the gift.
Yeah.
I think I even told Ashlyn, there's a girl in the window. Look at the window. And as we drove around a few times and really investigated, we realized that one of the empty lots was where that address had been. So we weren't able to make that one delivery.
Yeah.
And that made us sad that day because we realized that family member that was in prison wasn't getting to give the
Yeah.
gift that had been purchased and prayed over and
Yeah.
wrapped and now delivered to nothing, an empty lot.
And so something happened between the conversation and the time of delivery, which makes you think that a family was in crisis, right? That
Yeah.
they're not there anymore. That's sad.
Yeah.
How about you, Bambi? Any special memories that you take away from the day other than all the partying and fun that you had with the team?
Well, now in my new role that I have as the care coordinator, a lot of my client contact is over the phone, or it's in a brief moment, meeting them as they're going into an interview or connecting with their new advocate that they're working with. So I got excited to maybe have some, direct kind of our client people that I might get to interact with. So that was fun. The best part of the day for me was driving around with my coworkers and listening to our jams that we had.
Yeah.
Cameron was our jam queen, but she couldn't get it to connect to the van, so I connected my music.
And it was great.
So they got lots of 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
party.
Yeah.
I loved it.
That's the best party music.
Yeah, so it was a gift. It was a gift to us to get to have fun together and do something out of the office and
Right.
in a different group, because there's 2 kinship, me, and then one of our Safe Family staff members. So,
Right.
oh, and speaking of Raven, Raven and her family took a couple of the gifts off of that list, and they chose children that were the same age as their children so that they could shop with their 2 little boys.
Made
I
it a
thought that
family
was-
affair. Yeah.
Because we want to, if we have the opportunity to teach our own kids how to give back during
Yes,
this season,
absolutely.
especially in my home, I wanted Mikey to have the opportunity to purchase, so we picked a teenage boy on our list too, so he could purchase
It's a
for
great
it.
idea.
But I loved Raven did that with her 2
Yeah.
little ones.
That's awesome.
That's sweet.
I remember advice that I got early on in my career as a social worker, and it was that as you progress in your career and you get older, you're probably going to move from direct care to maybe coordinating care to maybe managing care to maybe and the advice is always stay connected to the people that you serve, but you're going to have to be intentional about it. You got to carve out space. Otherwise, you're just you're pushing buttons, you're filling out paperwork, and you start forgetting about the people that you're serving. So I took a couple of those on the list and went down to Halifax,
Yeah.
to part of the county I didn't know existed. I thought I already lived in a middle of nowhere, but there's another middle of nowhere,
Yep.
and there's people there, and so it just allowed me to remind myself why I got into this. Right?
Yeah.
It is about people. It's about meeting their needs. We talk here in Patrick Henry Family Service about meaningful relationships. It's hard to do that if you're just moving stuff all the
Yeah,
time,
checking boxes.
checking boxes. So meaningful relationships, and it's kind of hard to have a meaningful relationship in a transactional thing, and in some sense this is transactional because you're just delivering something.
Yeah.
But even in a small moment, it's really up to us whether that's going to be meaningful or not. If you give yourself off as gracious and this is an opportunity, right, and just a little bit of asking questions about how you're doing, right, it makes it meaningful, and then you can see the attitude change and the atmosphere gets better
Yeah.
just because you've stepping into their space. They're a little nervous about that. They have they have caseworkers and other people, and
Yeah, especially in this instance, because the family member who we were talking to and the children we're delivering to, they didn't do anything wrong. They're not the ones that
Yes,
are
right.
in prison. It's their loved ones or
Yes.
a parent or guardian that's in prison. They're innocent and a victim of some situation. So
Yeah.
to be shown love and grace during this time probably is a big deal for them. And Ashlyn and Cameron are full of grace. They work so well with their clients and love on the clients that they already work with. So of course that's why they got to go to the doors, because I knew if they knocked and somebody answered that they would love their experience with the 2 of them. So
yeah. So speaking of their job and knocking on doors, it's about time for our commercial. And Cameron has
Yay.
posted the day in the life of Kinship Navigator. So Liam, if we're ready, can we show that? Thanks for sharing that with us.
Oh, yes. That was fun to make.
How often do you get to spend one-on-one or FaceTime with kin who are taking care of their extended family?
Yeah. I think the most often, I would say at least once a month, is because we have our monthly support group where we have a group of caregivers that
Yeah.
come, and that's an awesome time to get to teach them new skills and get to hear, updates of what they're going through and just be able to be in relationship with them that way. But I would say, on the day-to-day, it is less common, but especially when we have like new clients that are first coming in, we tend to deliver them things sometimes especially if they have an immediate need and something we have on hand, like baby clothes. We get to go to their house and do that. A lot of our clients as well are older and grandparents, and so some of them may not have internet access or know how to use computers and stuff, so we've often taken paperwork to them or like brought resources physically printed out. So yeah, I think those
Yeah.
are just some opportunities to connect like that way.
How much time you spend on the phone with clients, working through issues?
I would say that's the majority of the communication that I have with my clients is over the phone. I would say at least once a day I'm talking to
Yes.
someone, but some days it's more phone calls than others. Sometimes there's
Yeah.
3 back to back, but I would say that's the easiest way to reach them.
Yeah.
Is through phone call and working through concerns that they may have, some assistance that they might be looking for, sharing resources that way, and
So when they come together for the support time,
yeah.
and you get to connect instead of on the phone or a name on a piece of paper, you get to see them face to face. So
Yeah.
tell me about that experience. Is it a good time, or people really enjoying coming together and hearing, being a part of this community?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. Sitting back and looking around the room and watching all of our kinship caregivers sitting there together and sharing stories with each other, and because they understand each other in ways that we as family advocates we do our best to help and support them and serve them, but we're not kinship caregivers, so we can't share that in the same space that other kinship caregivers can be with them through that. So I think that we do have a lot of frequent kinship caregivers that enjoy coming every month to our support group, and they enjoy that community aspect of, catching up with people at least
Yes.
once a month and having those conversations. So,
Well, there's
Basically,
power in
yeah.
peer support, right? And trying to
absolutely.
create a circle of support. I mean, we all need professionals in our lives sometimes, but we all crave this community of people who have things in common,
Yeah.
life experiences, and older folks, grandparents raising their grandchildren when they didn't plan on doing that.
sure.
Only another grandparent would understand that, right?
Right.
So,
It doesn't take long for the kinship families that the kinship navigator team works with for them to know how much they care about them, and to have the term advocate in their title makes a lot of sense because that's what they quickly show that they're there for, is to advocate and support your family, provide resources. And these two and Nicole do a great job at loving their families in that way. They this year we had Foster Fuels reach out to us with coats. They said, "How many? Tell us what you
yes,
need."
right.
So each of the teams made a list, and they contacted every one of their families and got a list, and we requested those coats, and they got to hand out those winter coats to their families. So that was a pretty nice gift to give as the weather got colder. So
And also, talking about Christmas, did somebody give us a whole bunch of bikes?
yeah,
To
we
give
had
away?
a local company that donated a ton of bikes to the care
Ton of
team.
bikes, yeah.
And kinship started making phone calls and pairing the bike sizes. There's
Yeah.
little tiny
Yep.
girl bikes with training wheels and bigger kid bikes, and they handed out bikes. That was fun though, because somebody would come in the front door that I didn't recognize. They'd say, "I'm here for Cameron. I'm supposed to pick something up," and then we'd take bikes
Yeah.
down the hall in a little bike parade to
Yes.
load up.
Yes.
Connecting a bike with a kid.
Yeah.
A kid
It
with a
was
bike.
awesome.
That'd be some smiles there, huh?
Yeah, yes, it was awesome. They were so excited. The caregivers
Yep.
were just as excited as the kiddos were to receive those bikes.
Exactly.
And most of the time when they were coming to pick up the bikes, it was just the caregivers with them, but they were so appreciative, and it was really cool that we were able to help facilitate that. And there was a local place that donated them to us, which we were also grateful for.
Yeah,
So.
I was telling you earlier that Ashlyn had one of her families that came to pick up, I think, 2 bikes, at least one. The child was in the vehicle with the grandparents. And so the grandmother said, come help me put it in the truck. And he came. The grandmother then even said to him, you think that's yours, don't you? And he kind of looked at him. But the little boy, when I asked if I could take a picture, he immediately put his hands on the steering wheel like, can I get on? And we said, yeah, you can get on. So he got onto the bike for the photo that we
Yeah,
took.
that
It was really cute.
Yeah,
That was sweet.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, there was another way that you guys kind of had a unique Christmas celebration with another part of our ministry, Homes of Hope,
Yeah.
which you are intimately involved in on a regular basis. Tell us a little bit about that, Bailey.
Homes of Hope, that's located in Bedford,
Yeah.
has had a connection with Bedford Baptist Church, one of their women's group called Faithful Chargers for Christ. And those ladies have come up and done all kinds of stuff over the last few years. But the last 2 Christmases, they came and did a Christmas party for the mothers and the children. I know last year they got full stockings with their names embroidered on it. And the year before, they gave them the Fisher-Price nativity sets for each of the families. And they came again this year and helped them decorate, put up the Christmas tree, and threw a little party for the moms and the kids there. So all of our programs have been so blessed by the community and by our supporters.
Yeah.
Especially at Christmas. Christmas is such a big time
Sure.
to give back, but we love that they do it through us
Yes.
and work with our clients.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of good things about the support from the community in Bedford and at home. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. And the churches, right? Because
Yeah.
again, it's not about us doing the work. It's about us trying to get the community to do what only community can do.
Yeah.
Peer to peer, your neighbors in the community. So that's powerful. I'm glad to hear that.
I find the most important thing for us to do is to just present the opportunity. And when we give the church the opportunity, then they usually step
Yep.
into it and find big ways to
Yeah.
serve. So Christmas is a great time to do that
is.
too.
So before we started today, you made a statement about sometimes you step into your house parent mode,
Yes.
right? You can never leave that. So for those of you who don't know, Bambi and her husband Nick were house parents for many years, and your last stint as house parents were at Patrick Henry Boys and Girls Homes, and so you were down on the main campus and you had some kiddos, and you're getting tearing up just me even talking about it because it's been such a big part of your life. On my way to work today, as often I do, I pass a point. There's a place on that I always think of you
Yeah.
because of something that happened in your role as a house parent. So I'm coming into Lynchburg, getting near the McDonald's there in Rustburg. And I'm this is a few years back. I'm driving down the road and I see the Patrick Henry van sitting in a driveway right off the road. I pass it and I go, "That must be mechanical trouble." So I turn around and I come back and I find it's Bambi. It's you, right, in a van full of very upset boys. I'm right, so upset that you had to pull off the road. You pulled into this driveway and. You're outside
In the
the
rain.
Yes, it was raining. You're outside of the van, right?
It took me a minute to remember this
even-
because
is-
it happened more
yes.
than once, but I do remember this specifically. You
Yes.
and another staff person
Yes.
saw us and stopped to help, thank God,
Yes.
to support the
There
boys
was
in
a
the van.
little rebellion happening
Yeah.
in the van while you're driving,
Yep.
right? Because it often happens while you're driving because you
So-
can't do anything about it. They think.
I was taught remove the audience, so I
Remove-
did.
yeah.
I left the audience in the van and removed the show outside the van into the rain
Yep,
to
and that's-
calm down together in the
Yep.
rain. Yeah.
And I remember sliding the sliding door open, and everything stopped in there, and those boys' eyes got this big.
She called in the
There's
reinforcements.
Mr. Dave. We must be in really, really big trouble. Yeah.
I called you in multiple times as reinforcement. I remember with
But so I,
sheriffs
so,
and-
I- so I passed that spot, and somebody go, I remember that, and I just remember you handled that so well, right? It's tough to manage a bunch of children, boys particularly, who had gone off.
Yep.
If I remember, they were all egging on one of the, and he
Yeah.
finally exploded, and that was the mess you were in, right?
Yeah, I often think about bus drivers, when they're in the front of the bus and all the chaos is going on behind them. And I just saw this on Facebook recently. The bus driver is responsible to drive the bus from A to B, not to manage all the chaos behind them. But as a house parent, when you're alone running an appointment, or a parent of a big family, you have to manage all that chaos behind you. And sometimes it's safest to pull off
Just
into
pull
a
off,
driveway
yep.
and take a few minutes. I thought you were going to talk about the time that we got a flat tire and didn't have a spare, and we had training parents with us. And when we were changing the tire, we got the boys out of the van for safety. And we had been on our way to church. So they were in their nice church clothes. And they're laying all around in the dirt, waiting. And I remember somebody saying, "Oh, you let them lay in the dirt in their church clothes?" And I said, absolutely. We weren't going to, it was too late for church. So yes, we let them lay. You can wash clothes.
Exactly.
Right. You had to choose your battles back
That's
then,
right.
didn't you?
Let them lay in the dirt. Yeah. And also, I remember we had some great Christmas memories in the group home. I loved doing that, making a holiday special for the kids that we had. Because if they couldn't be with their families, then I felt it was always our responsibility to do as well as we could in those spaces. And our families that trusted their children with us knew that we were loving them well during those seasons. But I wanted to ask you, what is one of your favorite Christmas childhood memories you have, or just a memorable Christmas that impacted you?
I don't have any, really. I really don't. I have bad memories. So Christmas is a tough time.
Yeah.
And it's changed a lot since I've been married and have kids, because now I can kind of tap into those memories.
Yeah.
But Christmas was always a nervous, because right, a lot of times people are dysfunctional, or they're poor, or there's addiction issues. Holidays just like intensifies all of that.
Yeah.
And it can be a scary time for kids. But I always appreciated how, here at Patrick Henry, the children's homes, the group homes, were always made those very special.
Yeah.
Almost to a fault, because those kids eventually would go home for Christmas, and it would always be so disappointing for a lot of them compared to what had happened, or their family couldn't give them the same kind of Christmas that they had. And we realized trying to find that balance. So
Of not too much. Don't
yeah.
make
So
it
do you
too big.
remember we changed the policy, and we started giving allowances to the kids to buy presents for their family. So
Yeah.
when they went home, they had something to give to their mom and dad,
Yeah.
rather than always kind of receiving. Right, here was something, and that changed the dynamic, I think, a little bit. Right.
Yeah, because Christmas should be about giving, not
Yes,
receiving.
yeah. And so I think that's all part of what we're talking about, is we've got to enable other people to step into these kind of places. And if we can, I like the word from the scripture, right? Equipping the saints to do the work of the ministry. We're not the saints doing the work of the ministry. We need to equip the saints. And in your cases as kinship navigators, the grandparents, the aunt and uncles, are the saints doing the work of the ministry. You're equipping them to do that, because they're the ones who are going to be there always. We step in and out of people's lives.
Yes.
And this is, we through prison fellowship and through Care Portal, we stepped into people's lives a little bit, and we stepped away.
Yeah.
But we got to find ways for those who are usually in that to do, right? Wouldn't
Yeah.
you say that's what that's all about?
Yeah, that's what I like about Vision 30. And I don't know if I said this earlier, but I want to say it because I think it's important. A lot of the angels that Claudia received off of the tree were filled by Vision 30 partners and from Care Portal requests. They put a lot of them into Care Portal, most of them, I think. And Care Portal churches in those areas picked up those
Yes, that's right.
gifts and gave. So
Which is the ideal. That's what we want. People
Yeah.
in the neighborhood.
and that's
making
how we
connection.
equipped them. We gave
That's
them
how
the
we-
opportunity, and they
Yes.
picked it up and
Yeah.
served. And hopefully, just like Care Portal is meant to, those churches that bought those gifts will build relationships with those families that are near them and get them, other ways to serve them and support them and invite them to church. So that's what we want to do. Yeah.
Any last famous words of advice from this crew? Actually, it wasn't that bad, was it?
It wasn't that bad.
No. Millions of viewers watching you right now, and you didn't get nervous at all, did you? You handled
Oh.
yourself very well.
Oh, thank you. Only a smidgen, but it's gone now.
Only a smidgen. Hey, thanks for being here today. Hey, and you did a good job filling in for Claudia today.
Thank you.
Great
Thank you
job.
for saying that
Thank
I
you.
look lovely.
You do. You look lovely.
Oh, thank you.
Made his whole day.
And we appreciate you guys checking in with us. See you next week on Community Connection.
Nobody gets to choose their family. If a person is fortunate enough to be born into a healthy family, then life can be much like floating down a smooth, gentle river in the summertime. But an unhealthy family is like a dangerous river, filled with rocks, debris, and fast-moving water. This river swiftly leads to the steep waterfall of adulthood, tragically forming a new river of dysfunction. Even if you aren't born into an unhealthy river, there are many streams that cause a person to get there. But there is only one way to get out, and that is through a meaningful relationship. Across our region, there are many agencies, churches, and families who are devoted to helping children escape from unhealthy rivers. Some feel their role is to wade in and rescue children. They foster, adopt, or provide safe families. Others stand by the river and support the rescuers by providing what they need. Still, others are upstream and stand in the gap to keep children from ending up in the negative situations. At Patrick Henry Family Services, we see ourselves as having an additional role. We are running up and down the shores of the unhealthy river, screaming, "Can't you see the children in the water? You have to do something." Vision 30 is a 10-year initiative. By 2030, we envision a region where all children are safe in their own family, or with caregivers who are supported by a local faith community. So, where do you stand at the river? Are you upstream, keeping families together and strong by standing in the gap? Are you in the river, directly impacting children? Are you on the shore, providing support for the brave folks who have entered the river? Or are you just passing by without noticing? No matter who you are, come down to the river with us. Let us help you find your place. Not only will lives be changed, but you will never be the same.